I don't know if we need to put like a disclaimer at the beginning of the show of like, please don't try and do the things you hear about. But sometimes people do. I mean, I think we're looking at that a lot in the case of Kohberger. We don't really know, but it seems he was very fascinated with crime and murder and did research, did a whole college project on it, asking criminals to write in and tell him what they felt while they were committing the horrible crime that they were committing. It was almost like kind of a guidebook to what he was going to do, allegedly. But here's another case. This is interesting. You just brought this story in. It was in South Korea. Is that right?
Yeah, that's exactly where it comes from. A true crime fanatic in South Korea killed somebody that she met online out of curiosity to see what murder would be like for real. So, do we need to have a disclaimer? Because I know a lot of people who are so addicted to true crime stories. And once they found your podcast, they're like, I am so addicted. That concerns me. Are we creating literal monsters out there, Tony?
I think we're actually creating really paranoid people more than anything else.
Ever since I started working with you, I make sure my doors are locked. Exactly. Like I used to open my front door so my cats could look outside and I wouldn't bother locking it. Now I'm like, lock that shit down.
But what if the killer is inside and it happens to have 4 paws and 7 knives?
Well, I don't doubt that a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't doubt that. But this story, and I'm probably going to mispronounce some things, but it is out of, I think it's Busan, South Korea.
Oh, sure. I went there last weekend. It was great.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm pronouncing it right.
Try the veal.
A 23-year-old true crime enthusiast is what she's been referred to, was arrested in connection with the killing and dismembering of a woman. Is this a woman? Yes, she disposed of the body. Okay, the crime was believed to be driven by the suspect's curiosity and desire to experience murder firsthand. I don't need this. Just gives me chills because that's not something I've ever wanted to experience. And you are going to an amusement park today. You want to experience thrills and endorphins and things like that, adrenaline. But
I'm going to take a lot of gummies to get myself on some of these roller coasters. I'm just saying that now because I don't like roller coasters very much.
No, I don't either. The suspect, and again, I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly, Jung Yu Jung, initially claimed to have killed the victim during an argument, but then later retracted the statement when presented with contradictory evidence. Police suspect the murder was premeditated, fueled by her obsession with murder from TV programs and books. Now, it doesn't mention podcasts, so we're off the hook here.
Okay, good.
Investigation of her phone reveals 3 months worth of search history on hiding a corpse, and she watched true crime shows and borrowed crime books from the library. So there's your first.
I'm glad she did her research at least. It wasn't one of these just like, oh my God, I killed somebody. Let me Google how to deal with this now. Like we've seen in so many cases, like how do you hide a body? How do you get inheritance? How do you get this or that after the body's like rotting in your basement? And then I didn't do it. I'm innocent. Yeah.
That's a really good point. Yeah. She found the victim through an app that connects parents with private tutors and posed as a mother to arrange a visit to a victim's home. Oh, she was disguised as a student. She entered the victim's home and fatally stabbed her before dismembering the body.
What is up with this? Everybody's like dismembering everybody now. It just used to be you killed somebody and you left. Now it's like,
that's just too much work.
Let me chop you up and put you in the freezer over here next to the steaks, and it's like, no one's going to notice this. Yeah.
When we get a rotisserie chicken, I don't even like pulling it apart. Yeah. I mean, to me, that's just too much damn work.
I like to. And everyone looks at me strangely in my house. They're like, you get way too much joy out of this. Because I'm like sitting there and like salivating and I'm pulling the chicken apart. My eyes kind of look weird. And I also like to put I shouldn't say this. This is horrible. I was going to say like something like I put the Manson type sign on my head and I look up and look real crazy at everybody while I'm eating the chicken. But I don't do that. That's not what I do. I just look at the chicken. I salivate over the chicken, and sometimes it goes a little weird. But to each their own.
I don't know. I get creeped out like when you pull the drumstick off and it makes that snapping sound. So to me, I could not dismember a body. I'd probably be vomiting the entire time. So she disposed of some body parts in a suitcase near a river, and then she kept other body parts in her home.
Like a souvenir.
Here we go. Yeah. Along with the victim's cell phone, ID card, and wallet.
That won't get you caught at all.
You think?
Yeah.
Sounds an awful lot like Kohberger, doesn't it?
Well, he didn't keep body parts in his house as far as we know.
Oh, yeah, that's... But I was thinking the ID cards.
The trial's still coming up. Yeah, the ID cards are one thing. BTK did the same thing, too.
The souvenir part of this is just... I'm all with get a T-shirt when you go someplace cool that says that you've been there. To me, that's as far as I go with souvenirs.
You know, some people get Mickey ears. Some people take scrotums. You know, it's just depending on, I guess, like what you want.
The taxi driver who took her to a wooded area then alerted police after noticing blood-stained clothes in her bag. She's been described as a loner and a recluse, unemployed since high school graduation. She's 23, so she's been unemployed for quite some time. Yeah. Despite her actions, she expressed remorse for what she had done. Well, you can't take it back.
How do you express remorse when you do that? I mean, I can't believe that's like really legit remorse at that point, other than you're just trying to project and basically mimic what you think the public wants you to do. I mean, how do you carry something like this out and like think, oh, this is great, and I'm going to pretend I'm remorseful? I don't know. I don't think it's legit.
I don't either. I think it's just because somebody has proven to you that you're an awful human being, and you know the typical response is, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Yeah, 100%. Horrible story.
I wonder how many people listen to Hidden Killers and True Crime and go,
a lot.
These are great ideas.
Well, as far as great ideas, I don't know. I don't know about a lot there, but it's interesting because if you here's the weird shit I think about when I'm like in a crowded place like a mall in 1998 or places where people are, there's a lot of them. I always wonder how many of these people in here are like actually like killers that like never got caught. Because you got to think
probably
like,
a good percentage.
Statistically, there's probably a couple in the food court, and you're like, like I wonder if that guy over there that's really getting into the orange chicken, if he's, maybe killed. Because some you can look at and go, I'm going to judge you. You killed somebody, and you go up to them and you're kind of like, you killed your mother. And they're like, what the fuck? I'm just eating like Taco Bell. Like what's,
right?
And they're kind of, it's off-putting, but it is an interesting thought of how many people out there that haven't gotten caught, because we do catch obviously quite a few, but I think there's probably far more that get away with things. I mean, look at all the missing people that are out there that never, that far outweighs the ones that like we find.
Yeah. And think about, maybe even 20, 30 years ago, we didn't have the genetic capabilities that we do now. No. So somebody who killed somebody maybe 30 years ago, if they've kind of stayed off the, the genetic trees and all of that, if they haven't submitted any of their genetics anywhere, their family hasn't done it, they probably are just skating by going, got away with that shit.
And they're probably starting to avoid like Christmases and family get-togethers where like the young like 22-year-olds like, look, I got everybody 23 and me, and they're like, oh shit, like now they're going to determine that my DNA has something to do with that murder that took place 35 years ago. Like, why did you have that child? And now this one's, because there's a lot of them that go like Golden State Killer was found that way. There's so many things with the genetics. I can only imagine these are things they never thought about back then because it didn't exist. And now it's like, oh shit, like my like little nephew, like, Jimmy is going to like bust me for this all these years later because he wants to know about who got off the boat in 1874. I wonder how many of them like actually then go forward and kill like their family members to prevent them from doing the DNA tests.
See, your mind is so twisted. I love it. Exactly.
It's like, no, we're not doing that. Like, We found Jimmy dead in the bathroom at Thanksgiving. We don't know what happened.
And he had a 23andMe kit in his hand, and he was putting the spit in the container.
He overdosed on French onion dip. Like, how did this happen? It's like, this sort of shit is real. But no, that's horrible. Well, I'll give them points for doing their research, but very bad follow-up as far as, hiding it or being not suspectable with the after. Wow.
Well, and now, due to this genetic research that we, all of us amateurs are doing, we are all now suspects in every crime out there, aren't we?
Cool. Yeah. I'm fine with that.
Okay. Well, me too. I haven't done anything. Yeah. So you're not going to find my DNA anywhere.
I always find it funny when, I don't necessarily like how we're getting to this very trackable state, but at the same point, I'm like, I don't fucking care. Like, I have nothing to hide. Go ahead.
That's the thing. I'm not worried if somebody decides to hack into my internet, because all you're going to find are searches on cats and maybe the occasional coffee strange recipe. There's nothing there. So other people have a lot to hide.
The raccoon porn might be a little bit much, but you look beyond it. It's like, it's the raccoons. They're
you do what you do.
Exactly.
Murder in the morning from the Hidden Killers podcast.
Going to weigh in on any of the stories we are talking about. 888-554-5537, 888-5-KILLER. To give us your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you, even if it involves raccoon porn. We may have to have a talk, but you can weigh in.
And it involves garbage cans.
That's weird. Yeah, that's just it's a bit much. But hey, we're here to listen. For Stacy, I'm Tony. Stay with us.